let's make braised beef. Braised beef is one of my favorite dishes to make. It is easy to make. You throw it in the oven and you set it and you forget it for 3.5 to 4 hours. And you just need a few simple ingredients. I like to use a chuck roast, carrots, celery, onions, garlic, essential, and some fresh herbs. If you don't have fresh, you can use dried thyme, dried rosemary, and a couple of bay leaves and some tomato paste and some stock. It doesn't even have to be beef stock. I have some leftover chicken stock from another dish that I made, so I'm just going to throw that in there. And then some salt, pepper, and that's all it is. So let's make it. For your beef, make sure you just dry it off really well. This is a large piece. I'm actually going to cut this in half and then freeze it and then save it for another time I want to make braised beef. Season your beef liberally with salt and pepper. While your beef is browning, chop up your aromatics. I failed to hit record. So after I seared off the beef, I sauteed the onions, the garlic, the celery, and the carrots all at once, just kept an eye on it and sauteed that for about 5 minutes. Then you add in about a tablespoon of tomato paste, mix that in. Then I added the stock to deglaze the pan, and now I've added my beef back in. So let's continue. You're going to want to bring this up to a boil. Here is where you add your herbs. I just leave them in whole because I'm going to pick out the stems later on, and a couple of bay leaves, nestle those in, and you can see it's about 3/4 of the way up the beef. As this slow cooks, a lot of this liquid is going to reduce down and make a delicious sauce. Slap a lid on it and put it in the oven, and that's all you do. The beef has come out of the oven and it looks perfect. It was in there for 3 hours and you can see it is just meltingly tender. It is falling apart. And you're going to pull out your rosemary, your thyme if you have herbs in there. What you want to do is drain some of this fat off. Now, we're not going to waste this goodness. I'm going to show you how to make a quick sauce with it using the vegetables that are in there. It makes a nice kind of thick sauce, and you don't need to add flour or butter to make your gravy. So let's make it. I didn't have any beef stock, but I'm just going to use some chicken stock homemade that I had and add a little bit of better than bouillon and add that in. Now it's like a nice uniform sort of sauce. Look how shiny and beautiful that is. No flour, just the goods that you cooked your roast in. This is perfect. It does not need anything. Set it aside until you're ready to serve dinner. Let's plate up our beef. It is so tender that you can just pull it apart. So you can see how that looks. I made some polenta, a lightened up version, just with some bone broth, Parmesan cheese, and salt and pepper. Beef. Then we have this beautiful sauce. Peas with some basil, a little bit of olive oil, and a squeeze of lemon. And there she is. Look how beautiful that plate looks. Braised beef, creamy polenta. It is so tender, you don't even need a knife. Delicious. Add this to your rotation.